I hope everyone is having a wonderful Sunday. I'm happy to let you know that my most recent article, An Introduction to Scientific Philosophy, What is Time, is available on Substack. This one is a free article for everybody. I hope that you'll sign up for the free subscription so that you get notifications about my work. I'm going to try to succinctly summarize my thesis for this article. So I'm working right now with a specific definition of scientific philosophy from a book by Rosenberg, 2005. You can find more information on that source on the article in the reference section, of course. So basically what he's saying is that a philosophical question is any scientific question that science can't answer, and that's because all scientific questions are philosophical. So that might sound like case closed, right? That's like it's kind of a circular argument, it seems at first, but it's more complicated than that. So there are basically two schools of thought. One school of thought says that given sufficient effort, time, and resources, all philosophical questions will eventually be resolved through science. I tend not to agree with that for the same reason as Rosenberg in this textbook that I'm working from, which is that there are these key concepts like what is time that despite thousands of years. So when I talk about science and philosophy, I'm talking about the Western canon of science and philosophy, which starts with the ancient Greeks. And I'm not saying that that's all there is. I'm just saying that's what I'm referencing right now. So within Western civilization and Western society, the Western canon of philosophy and science, scientists and philosophers have been trying to answer the question, what is time, for thousands of years. And we are still asking that question. There are many other examples like this, and this suggests that there are some questions that are inherently philosophical rather than scientific. But again, this is key, because there's no way to actually test the hypothesis about are all questions theoretically, keyword theoretically, answerable by scientific inquiry, or are some are some not? And I do want to address that this comes into conflict with what I've been talking about Spinoza and his whole belief system being that we can access and study the mind because it's part of nature, and everything in nature is subject to scientific inquiry. And he might not agree with me about this, and that's okay. But it's a really complicated question, and in science and philosophy, we're always asking better questions to get better answers, with the understanding that we are always improving on that understanding. And the fact that we have biases and things that limit that perfect understanding, so that a perfect scientific understanding of the universe is always an aspirational state of perfection, we're going to keep asking questions. We're going to keep asking this question. So I would say that the fact that we cannot answer the question, are all philosophical questions hypothetically answerable through scientific inquiry, we can't answer that question through scientific inquiry. This proves, in my thinking, that in fact there is a discrete set of questions that belong to philosophy and are not scientific. However, there's a dynamic relationship between them. And in this article, I talk a lot about how Einstein's discovery of the theory of relativity plays into this dynamic between we see cycles where we turn to science to answer these questions. We get some answers, but we don't get all the answers. Then we turn back to philosophy to try to figure out the questions that we couldn't answer through scientific inquiry. Then we see which we could go back to. So it's a bit analogous to the scientific method itself. I'm going to keep working on this. Let me know what you think.